Say that on my dress.
Oh my God.
She's recording.
Calypso. Oh, honey.
Calypso Rose.
Rose.
Are you going to explain why it's pepper soup?
No, Claudia will explain that part.
The pepper soup? It's the soup. It's the same soup. I got Justin Sanko.
They had soup.
Which page are you sharing from?
From my personal page, and then I will share it. And then you guys can share it. So just give it a second. All right. Edit privacy, public. Okay. So we should be able to share.
If you go to Liberia and you want to stay in Africa, drink pepper soup. Drink pepper soup. And if you like the culture and you want to stay in Liberia, drink pepper soup. Drink pepper soup. Especially if you like to eat Liberian food so sweet. Whatever they put in the soup, you can lie down, you can sit down, you can lie down, you can right there, you can get away. I say, what's the name of this soup? Pepper soup. Man, it's tasting good. Pepper soup. Once you take a taste, pepper soup, you can't leave the place. Once you drink that pepper soup, you can't get away. Liberia, you got to stay.
Okay, Lovetta's here.
I hear you talking Liberia when foreigners come over here and drink pepper soup.
Well, hello, Lavetta.
If that's how them spell bomb, I have them singing this song. Drink pepper soup. They don't want to go home at all when they eat swine with bitter.
Oh, look at my baby.
Uni, kuta and ka. Oh, oh, it's pepper. Oh, oh, eh. You can sit down, you can lie down, you can turn around, you tie right there.
I think Claudia will tell us about this song. Why do women choose to sing about pepper soup?
Man, it's tasting good.
You are
Like
born. You are born after I wasn't born
Liberian, oh, look at Liberian pepper soup.
In Liberia, you got to stay. Oh, yeah.
got that same soup Michael Jackson tasted.
Michael Jackson looked like he tasted more than a soup. Okay.
I heard of this Yankee man. He went to the motherland and drink pepper soup. He drank pepper soup. He couldn't understand why he couldn't leave the land because of pepper soup. Drink pepper soup.
Okay, guys.
He eats so much mixture. Crayfish, crab, and barracuda. All kind of dry fish. They call swamp. Oh, it's pepper. Oh, he could sit down, he could lie down, he could turn round. He tie right
I think it was a cool woman that cooked that soup.
I say, what's the name of this soup?
Yeah, the pepper.
It tastes good. Pepper soup. Once you take
Why did it choose pepper soup?
in the place. Pepper soup. Once you drink that pepper soup, you
It
can
rhymes with whatever you're thinking.
you have to stay.
What? They're already recording and it's already on Facebook. What? What you said? I'm not hearing the music loud.
Okay.
I will be going to Liberia sometime in December to drink pepper soup.
And why in December?
Pepper soup. I want to test the mixture to stay in Monrovia. Drink pepper soup. Drink pepper soup. I love seafood from since I'm small, but I never eat this bitter ball.
Okay, ladies. I guess we can start. Okay. So, welcome once again to another Sunday evening with Salamartu and friends. Of course, as usual, we have in the house Miss Charlene and Claude, and our guest host, which I'm sure will more than likely not be the last time here, is Miss Robina Vincent, Mrs. Robina Vincent. And this is the last time we'll call your last name, okay? We want to do it one time. Robina Vincent, and of course, Mrs. Lavetta Sendolo. Okay, ladies, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to have this conversation. You know, it's our Independence Day weekend. Tomorrow is Independence Day. I see Claudia is already dressed for the occasion. I know Robina has a 20-day shirt on, 20 days, 6, there we go, And I'm doing green for prosperity, for green agriculture, money. And then Claudia and Charlene, I think they're just doing the African print. They're representing.
African for the first African nation. You know what I mean?
Grandpa got told, we got explanation for everything. All right, ladies. So before we get started, while people are grabbing their wine, you can grab your wine. It's Sunday evening. You're getting ready for a new week. Yeah, you can grab your water too. Grab your coffee, make some cocktails, get some tea, hot milk, whatever it is. Grab it. And I mean, we're really going to have a great conversation today. Got some hot topics that's trending. So we're going to talk about it. Our lawyers are already standing by just in case. Our lawyer didn't frisk it too. So, so our lawyers, they're already standing by. So before I get started, I just want to send our prayers to the people who, the people and families of those who lost their life to COVID. You know, we really had a devastating last month, I would say, with the third wave. And also want to send some prayers out to those who are currently healing from COVID, or who are at the treatment center. And guys, let's continue to wear our mask, whether you're vaccinated or not. Let's wash our hands. Let's try to keep our distance, and let's try to get a little bit more educated about the coronavirus vaccine. And I would tell you, go ahead and get the vaccine. But for your own information, read about it, see what's best for you, and get vaccinated. And also want to the victims and family of the Nico Ivanka. Want to send our prayers out to those who, thankfully, you know, they were rescued, those who are still missing. You're in our prayers, and to the family and the people who are out there on the sea looking for these people. So, you know, it's been a rough week. So with that said, there are a couple of people. Oh, we got Tangi saying hello to us. Hi, Tangi. You know, we got to get Tangi in the house one day for some hot topics. I'm sure Jeff, in a week, we will have a hot topic for her to join in on. And just looking at some folks, you know, last week was the first time I actually, you know, had my friends come on, and we received some really great feedback. We received some constructive feedback. And, you know, we just thank you for taking this time on a Sunday evening to listen to us. Give us your feedback. Let us know how we can make it better. So with that said, I actually want to kind of kick off the discussion on some of the hot topics that are trending in Liberia, you know, before the holiday. So there's a quick update on the sinking of the Nico Ivanka. I don't know why they named that shit Nico Ivanka. Anyway, just a quick recap of the story. Now, there was an article done on July 23rd that interviewed one of the survivors, a guy by the name of Kofa. He's about 24 years old, and his account is just, I mean, I couldn't stop reading you know, what happened to him. This guy said, you know, the boat actually left, or the vessel left from Freeport of Monrovia and was heading to Maryland County, right? And on the manifest, it had about 18 persons, but the crew, the passengers who were on the boat who had been rescued, they're saying, it was probably between 20 to about 28 persons on that boat. And just before they left Freeport, there was an issue with the engine, but they claimed to fix the engine. So everybody got on the boat, and the boat sailed out. It sailed maybe around 7:30-ish in the morning. About 2 p.m., they raised some concerns. Some of the passengers raised concerns that the sea was very rough. And to talk to the captain kind of ignored them, wouldn't listen to them. I mean, he just kept going to the sea. So the Mr. Kofa guy, he said he was so scared because, one, he can't swim. So he just went to sleep. And the next thing he knew, he heard an alarm that came out, that, you know, a loud sound. He woke up, and there was water in the boat. So the water in the boat, the captain is asking the passengers to pour out the water from the boat. But it was so much water in the boat, he noticed that the captain and his crew was going up to the upper deck of the boat. Next thing he noticed, they're putting life jackets on, and they're jumping. I'm sorry, yeah, I'm not laughing, but I'm laughing. They're jumping out of the boat. The captain and the crew, there were no life jackets for the remaining passengers. The only other group that had the life jacket was the WIAC team, the team that was going down there for the WIAC. And he said that life jackets were so small, it looked like it was for babies. So they put on their little life jacket, everybody jumping out of the boat. He just decided, you know what, God be with me. He jumped off the boat. He said there was a teenager who was on the boat, didn't even have a life jacket as well. They literally, yeah. So he jumps in the water. Luckily, he finds a floater. He gets on the floater, noticed there was a Chinese national in the water. He helped save this guy, and then looked at the boat that's sinking already and sees some of the WIAC team members still on the boat. He luckily pushed the floater towards the boat, got these people off the boat onto the floater. They were rescued. They had to stay in the water for about 10 hours. Remember, this guy said the sea was very rough. They stayed in there for 10 hours before they were rescued. So now they're rescued. There was another guy who 3 days ago, he had been on the water for about 49 hours. So he, luckily he's been rescued. Of course, the government of Liberia through the Liberia Maritime is saying that this boat was not authorized to leave the port. Neither was it authorized to even have passengers on the boat, on the vessel, right? So the Ministry of Justice is investigating. So, the question, of course, a lot of people are, the concerns a lot of people are having, out of the 21 to 28 persons, 11 persons so far have been saved as of 3 days ago. So right now they have changed the mission from rescue to just pretty much finding dead bodies, unfortunately. So now, while they're doing the investigation, of course, there's the question, who should be held accountable? Should the captain, the captain at once, should he be held for some kind of charges like negligence? Should he be arrested as well? Who decided that this boat should leave the port? So I will turn it on to you ladies. I don't know who want to get started first, Claudia.
You're muted, Kaladi.
Okay. So I can only talk from the health and safety part. So the boat was created in Liberia. Obviously, there should be some sort of documentation that made the maritime to say that it's not fit for sea. Now, whoever authorized the captain needed to find out first if the captain was even qualified enough to take the boat off, if they had any testing done. Now that is, I think that should be the responsibility of the port or wherever the boat is docking or at bay. So whoever is in charge of that particular place is supposed to be the first person to blame for allowing the boat to be set sail. So they have the Coast Guard, not the Coast Guard, but the police at the port. How do you call them? At the airport, you call them the ATR, the ones in the antenna room. So you have similar structure at the port for the lighthouse, I think they call it. Yeah. You have similar structure, yes. And you have, that's Coast Guard, eh?
Yeah.
At the Coast Guard?
I think so.
At the Coast Guard, I think the room, but those are responsible for the traffic direction.
Oh.
So yes. So if they had gotten a permission to leave, that means the permission had gone to the lighthouse so that they can give them way to leave. You need to find out what time is it, what time you are leaving. They need to know so that they can coordinate the other vessels coming in and out of the port where this vessel was. So in as much as maritime, they can be investigating. The first people to have right now that should be answering questions are the people who are in charge of the port and people who were immediately in charge of where the vessel was, whoever had the keys or the papers and the locks to them. Because before you get the boat on sail, there are a lot of people that sign documents, from maintenance to safety records to checks, and you cannot take a boat on sea without ensuring that all the passengers on the boat have life jackets.
Right.
So people should actually be talking about investigating murder right there.
Yeah.
It's not just about investigating to find out who gave permission. You allowing a vessel to go on sea without the proper safety guidelines in place means you were out to murder someone. And that's what happened, sadly. So that should be the first place of
Yeah.
of contact.
And you're right. One, of course, maritime is saying that they were not permitted to go on the water. So in April, they were cited that you should not go on the water. Then in addition to that, this particular vessel was not meant for passenger. So the crew members, they had the proper life jackets, and it makes sense now that the WIAC team would have life jackets. So usually you go on boat, you don't take your own life jacket with you. Charlene, you want to
Yeah,
wait?
but so that means that that authority came from the port. If maritime said the boat is not fit to move, and then you have officials, WIAC officials, going to sail on the boat, means that they did have a proper authority. So it's no longer about maritime saying the boat is not fit to move, because obviously whoever had the decision reversed had higher authority to do so. So it wouldn't be from maritime; it would be from the port.
Charlene?
Yeah. Honestly, to me, it's such a touchy subject, and it's still so fresh. I think, like, in my opinion, the investigation is ongoing. I think it needs to happen. There's a lot of fingers that we can point. We can point it to maritime. We can point it to whomever. But I mean, we can even point it to the individuals that got on this boat without a life jacket. So I think there's a lot of things that needs to happen. The investigation has to happen, and then we can make like a final decision or a final opinion on it. But right now, I think it's just so fresh and so new that I kind of just want to put my hand up and wait to hear what the investigation comes up with.
Okay, what are you, Robina?
Well, the facts here, one, it wasn't supposed to be sailing. Secondly, they were not supposed to have passengers on. So with those two things, and like Charlene said, they're investigating, I too can't really go ahead and speculate like the rest and just wait to see what happens. But also considering the weight that they had on the boat, looking at the items that they had on the boat. So like Charlene said, they're investigating, but it's a fact that that boat was not supposed to be removed. And secondly, they were not supposed to take passengers. So we'll wait and see what happens, before we start to throw spit out there.
Okay, Lavetta, and by the way, Lavetta, Paul Moore said, if you touch your camera one more time, he will get fixed. So leave your camera on, won't see.
No, let me. Okay, so first of all, let me say this is very sad, and it comes down again to leadership. And not just leadership from the president, but leadership from everyone who was or is involved in the whole, capsizing of the vessel. From all that I've gathered, from all that I've heard, I listened to one of the witnesses, one of the survivors, let me say that way. And he said that the only thing that blessed him was the fact that he's an old fisherman and he knows how to swim. But they got on the vessel. Can you all know those jacket that the police normally use on the traffic, right? How do they call them?
The reflector jacket?
The reflector jacket. Yeah. He said that those were the jackets the Ministry of Education employees were wearing. Now, how will you allow people to get on a vessel with such a jacket? That's the first thing. The second thing here is, I see a little coordination in the communication of government. If this vessel was grounded, why is it that you have Ministry of Education staff getting on it? You also have Semenko, according to the video we have. Semenko also transporting cement on it. We also heard on the video that they had some transformers on the vessel. So it tells you that there is some way, there was some breakdown in communication. If something as that, serious, something of grave concern you granted a whole vessel and you did not communicate that to the rest of the entity or the citizens or foreigners, it comes down to leadership. So I will blame the leadership. A good thing is, let me say a big thank you to the Armed Forces of Liberia. I see that they have worked extremely hard to rescue some of those people. And shout out to you, Major General Chris Johnson and your team. And also to the partners that are involved. I heard that Salamartu is helping as well.
Yeah.
So we say thanks to the government for getting these people involved, but also we don't think this should be, for it not to be repeated, we should put some kind of system and everybody should be a leader in the different sectors.
The thing
Say
is,
that?
the thing is,
They
we
didn't bring you
always,
in, Claudia. Where until they
we
bring you
all,
in?
the thing is, we always play back system. You know, it still brings me back to this sad point of, you know, me losing my little cousin at the school there, Hila. We don't make policies and we don't take health and safety seriously anywhere in Liberia. There are specific operating procedures for any kind of function that you have. It's supposed to be on books, especially when it involves the lives of people. That's why people go to school to learn all these different things, you know, to be a captain of a ship, you know, to learn how to be a lifeguard. You know, they are all technical stuff that you learn. It's a process. There are procedures involved. And sadly, these things have already happened. Nobody is going to talk about policies. Dorcas, can you stop that?
Oh no, you're not talking about what child like that. Yeah, yeah. You're not talking about what child like that. What's that? Yeah. You know what? Yeah, you can't finish.
She won't go again.
No.
No,
Yeah,
but you
no,
see,
but you know
Claudia,
what? It
we
just
have,
came as if,
Claudia,
you know, to just kind
Claudia,
of wrap up on this
Claudia,
topic. Yeah.
we have these things on the book though. We have these things
Oh, they're not on the
It's
books,
the
because if they're
implement-
on the books, they should be implemented. I can bet you if
No,
you go
that
to
are
the port now,
implementation.
But that's the problem. That may be the
yeah,
problem.
I can ask, if
implementation
you go to
part.
the port now and you
And
ask
that's
for
what
the
leadership comes in.
documentations of sailing because before you sail, before you move a vessel from the port, there is a documentation that you need to have, or checklist that needs to be corrected. I can bet you there's absolutely no checklist at that port that permitted that vessel to leave.
No, I
And
think,
to back Claudia,
I think there is. I think there is.
I would
Robina?
say communication breakdown, period, because it's
Yeah.
clearly that.
You know
That
what?
is
Let
the
me
reason why.
let me speak on. I mean, let me say this. Liberian Maritime, they have said that they actually grounded this vessel. They grounded the vessel. They grounded the vessel. The vessel was not supposed to leave the port. So I don't think necessarily it may be just the paperwork. I think it's documented that they weren't supposed to leave. I think it's the implementation part of it, the authority, people who feel that they should maybe
So
not
Salamartu,
pay
how
attention
many
to the
people
law.
knew? How many people knew?
No, but that's the thing. It's like, no. Before the boat left, the boat actually broke down too. Yeah, the engine. So there were so many signs along the way. It's just that
Matu, this boat was built in 2018, right? How did it get licensed to even sail? How who allowed them to build such? I heard that it was commissioned. There was a whole big ceremony at the Carrot Life and everything. It was commissioned by one of our leaders.
By the vice president of Liberia.
The current vice president, right?
Yes, the current one.
Okay, yeah. So now, if you go and commission something that you have no idea how is it built, the safety of your citizen, and so the whole thing is
Amen. No, we ain't coming to the woman for that one then now. They send that.
No, I'm not blaming her.
Yeah, they
No,
say
I'm
she
not blaming her.
yeah, the woman came to a ceremony.
No.
But look, ladies, this is what I'm saying, right?
I am not blaming her. What I'm saying is, Claudia is talking about policy. The Liberia Maritime Authority has been certified, and they have license that they give out, or licenses they give out. Now, I'm sure we have these things on paper. The implementation part of it is what have this country or a lot of things going the way they are going. You have people that you make supervisors, you have people that you make them directors, you have people that you have given it, but they are not performing their roles.
All right,
So
Lavetta,
it
I
comes
think
down
we're
to
spending
leadership.
too much time on this subject. I think with there, like I
The
said,
bottom line is
investigation
until we can,
happening,
yeah.
and let's wait and hear what the investigation.
We should not always be waiting to hear. We already know where the wrongs are. We should start asking people to answer questions. These investigations will take
Yeah, but
years to complete.
when you
Harmless
get the
aside,
findings,
the
when
first
you
thing to do
receive-
is for these entities involved to bring forth what their policies were, what the procedures were. The investigations will go on, yes, but people are already hurting. People have lost their family members for no reason.
Okay, but I tell you what, I think what we can do.
People
at
need
this
to start
point-
suing people.
Well, yeah, I mean, I really think there should be
I
a
agree
lawsuit.
on that.
Yeah, regardless of the investigation right now, I think there should be a
Yeah,
wrongful
there should
lawsuit
be.
file, period.
Yeah,
And then
I agree to that.
perhaps that maybe even push the government to investigate. But I think as we're talking about it, let's make sure that after this week that we continue to follow up on this case. Because that's what will happen. After 2 or 3 days, there will be some other big news in the media and we will get so excited about it and we'll forget about this. So let's continue to follow up on this as we move on to the other hot topic this week. You know, we had a lot of current events happening in Liberia. So I'm gonna try to see if I can play the this video from Representative Yeke Koluba. Yeke Koluba is the representative of District 10, which is pretty much in the heart of Monrovia. And there's a young lady who has declared that she's running for that position come 2023. And he was leaving the courthouse and a reporter asked him something about this woman. We don't hear the question that the reporter asked, but his response was just outright saying, and let me give you a backup. Her name is Karishma Pelham Rad. She is a radio personality. And she's running for District 10 also in 2023. Now, I'm gonna try to play the recording. I hope you can hear it. And she's under the ruling party, the CDC. So.
Before you
Oh,
play
does she have a
recording-
party yet?
She's a member of the CDC party.
Before you play the recording, there's 2 young ladies that he speaks of in that video.
Okay, yeah, he speaks of, they're both are citizens, I should say. They're under the CDC. So let me, 1 second, guys. Let me play this just for you to hear.
Bleaching contest place. District number 10, and that's for I mean somewhere that somebody will sleep with you and think say you can carry to be representing district number 10. Meaning what? But you see what again is just a bit actually bleaching. You think roughly bleaching cream? You see Karishma and the holding of clothes. You think about sleep with somebody like what can be representing? I will beat all the people. What did she sleep with? My man, she know. Don't you think your statement is demeaning? She got married 3 times. Which one of them got married 3 times? Karishma got married 3 times, so maybe she won't get married again. She's looking for me again. So she just sleep now. Yeah, so don't you think your statement is demeaning? Could bring you to court for this? You interpret it. The woman said, "I just saw you, a rebel." Listen, I said, I got to be complaining. So when you refer to the child soldier can respond to you. So you don't fear of being. I'm not to hear what you man fear who? I'm representing the Liberian police. They fear me. I'm the rep.
Okay, so I'm sure you could hear, everybody heard that. So he made this comment and, you know, the conversation surrounding it was a lot of the women's, some of the women's group, members of various women group wanted to kind of put out a statement about it. Now, in general, the statement was very demeaning because I think I was probably the one that shared the video with one of the women's group, just kind of saying, why is it every time a woman is running for a position, and there's some kind of criticism, but it always has to do with her looks or some sexual reference to her. Why is that the only two things that we all always talk about? So as much as, you know, I said the statement was very demeaning to women, the other conversation that sparked was, do we speak up for women who we know for a fact has never spoken up for other women as well? So I want to get your take on it. We'll start with Charlene.
Don't start with me because I have a conflicting view than you ladies. So
Hey,
y'all go ahead.
Flecky.
Then I don't know which way I was sent to with.
Hey, Flecky, man, Flecky.
So here's
The,
my
fir-
thing,
the
right?
first the first thing, right, in our Liberian setting,
But
people
let it
say-
one more talk. We'll cut us on you.
Here's my thing. Okay, naturally, we all heard the recording and it is demeaning what he's saying. But in my opinion, and I know I'm gonna get some backlash from it, but when men speak of women and they say, oh, the first thing that comes out of their mouth is this person has slept with X, Y, and Z, right? We kind of we as women should control that narrative. We as women, we have this thing where we hide our mates, we hide our partners. So when they disclose this information, it's as if it's a battle, like they're using their trump cards on us because we are hiding this. We're keeping it as such, we're keeping it close to our hearts. Like people can't know who we've been intimate with. Whereas men, everyone knows, and it's not a big deal when they say, oh, John slept with Mary. Or when they say Charlene slept with Paul, not Paul Moi, then it becomes an issue. I'm sorry.
But the comment that he made wasn't like a secret. He specifically said she slept with someone to get the position. And then he also referenced that they asked him who she sleep with. He said, but she been married 3 times. So
No, I'm not speaking specifically in the case of this young lady, but I'm speaking in general. We have this thing where we say, oh, the only thing men can say is who we sleep with. But we can control that narrative. Just how men are open and free with their conversations about their sexual partners. And we decide that, oh, it's such a taboo to have sexual intercourse with anybody. So that's why they take it and well, this is my opinion. That's why they take it and use it against us.
Yeah, Lavetta, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I listened to the video. I mean, it's not right what he said, but let us go back. I remember reading on these 2 ladies' posts, and I know I'm going to get hit for this. I know I'm not going to be loved for what I'm about to say.
Okay.
But it's just the reality. So, no, I'm going to talk it. You know, that's me. So a few months ago, I'm a lady, okay? There's a saying that say, if you don't want the fish, no, maybe between. If the fish does not want the cat to eat it, the fish should not smell, right? So I have read on these 2 ladies' timeline over and over. They have insulted this guy. You know, they have insulted. I'm not saying what he did was right. I'm not saying that, but they have said things exactly. You know, and then right after he said it, the other lady, what's her name, Karishma, she came back and called him a kid. How does that help the situation?
A what?
Where is the mature, a kid?
Oh, a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said she called him a child soldier.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore he was responding as a child soldier would respond.
Exactly. And then she came back and said, Yaka Koriba is a political kid. Now, how do you want people to help you in this situation? When a guy comes out and call you names and people want to help you and you do not, with maybe the women wanted to help or other groups wanted to help, but you come up and say, Yaka Koriba is a political kid. You're not helping the situation. The both of you are not mature. Reason why the both of you shouldn't be there anyway. Yaka shouldn't be there. You shouldn't be voted for in the ensuing election. So they are not helping it. I believe strongly that both of them should be set aside school well in politics and what it takes to be leaders instead of coming on the social media or using different media platforms to insult each other. So I don't like what he told the ladies, but also the ladies should be mindful of what they tell the men. All right? This is 21st century.
Well, they say in Liberia, the way you make your bed, or my mom used to say, the way you make your bed is how you lie on it. So if you don't shake it well and there's sand on it, that's how you sleep at night, you know? And the thing about personally attacking people in politics in Liberia has just outgrown its use. People personally attack you, they attack members of your family for political gains. In as much as, you know, the utterances are bad, but yes, as Lavetta said, sometimes in Liberia, so you look for it. You don't attack people because you're trying to get political points. There are different ways. Everybody have a platform. If you feel your platform is better and you can better get in touch with your community so that they vote you to power, you do so. But you attacking someone's character, definitely the person's response will be to attack your character. And sadly, people are, you know, looking at it because it's a woman. If it was another man,
That's true.
I don't think
We
the
won't care.
interest would have been this much, you know. If it
But
was,
if it was another
yes.
man, if it was another man, would he have talked about the man, how many women this man has slept with?
Of course, if the man
Of course, yes.
Yes.
is promiscuous, yes.
He would have
That's
said it.
never,
These
that's
women have
never a
said
topic
it. They're
of
not true.
interest.
He would have said it. He
All
would have said it.
the politics that these people have done. I mean, I've been in Liberia for 11 years. I've been here through two major presidential campaign. They have never once cussed their opponent who have been a man and talk about how the man is
Not Yeke though. Not Yeke.
not
Yeke.
any one of them. The only
No,
they
Yeke has. Yeke has. That's
who
what I'm saying.
Yeke talk
Yeke
about
has.
that. We talking about money because your money, not different thing.
Don't minimize this to just a
When you
Yekes
attack,
Taliban conversation. We're talking about men in general. It's never a conversation. Men don't come up and say, oh, and I have to take different. And again, because that's part of the norm. That's what we're used to. So it's not something that we're going to use to attack a man on.
Yeah.
We can use it on a woman. Again, going back to my first
yeah,
statement,
but
we
going
as
back,
women hide our partners.
And
going
then
back on the whole thing is about character.
But one
If
Exactly.
you're trying to kill, assassinate, or if you're trying to kill someone's character, for a man is different. They will easily talk about you being corrupt or you being violent or so to kill your character.
Being
For
a child
woman,
culture.
it's about talking about your sexuality. That's how culture has seen it. So even if, you know, a woman is violent or she has been into corrupt practices, they don't feel that is sufficient enough to kill her character. So obviously they go for the sexuality, you know, of the person. And that's what happened in this case.
Robina?
You know, calling someone a child soldier, the next thing they will respond on is to tell you maybe you ugly, or if you slept with someone, or if you marry someone. That's how it will go.
Yep.
So the bottom line is for you to respect, you know, what your stance is in the community and act as such, so that you don't. I mean, you have to also try not to call on things to yourself. And with these women groups, must you always just be answering to problems?
Oh, go women. Robina,
no.
yeah, you can leave us.
Every
Yeah.
time something
What
happens, there's a women group that will
Women.
come out and respond to this. If you actually think there are wrongs in the society that you need to correct, start talking about them and let people get comfortable talking about these things, so that when these situations arise, you know, people can already know about them and they will act accordingly.
But let me
You
say
don't wait
this.
for
Okay.
things to
No,
happen already,
Kare,
then you go to make statement
no.
and press conference. It doesn't make
Okay,
sense
let me
to
say this. They do. There's a lot of sensitization that goes on that doesn't make it to the front page of every newspaper. The reason why they wanted to say something is because, like, you're doing community work, you're telling the women, you're teaching them to speak out. Women are now speaking out. A couple of years ago, nobody was saying anything, and that's why it has become the norm. It has become the norm because we've never said anything before in the past. We made it seem like it was okay. But nowadays, people are speaking about it. There's a lot of women in the community that know that, you know what, nobody is supposed to be attacking the way you look and your sexuality when you're running for political office. So that's why the women are speaking about it. Now, if you have a personality like a Yeka Koluba making such a public statement, it's just another opportunity to bring it on light. Now, I will say this, as much as I felt that his statement was very demeaning, because it was the first thing that went to my head, I'm like, God dog it, why are they always talking about our sexuality and the way we look? However, I will say I'm very petty about my responding to
Conflict.
Yeah, and my pettiness, it comes from the fact that I don't like tokens. And I say I don't like tokens because, number one, these two women, there's been a lot of issues with women in the media within the last like 3 years. There's a lot of women who actually ran for political office and they have suffered. People, they cuss them, they chase them with stone, they literally try to kill some of them. None of these two women have said anything regarding all of these attacks on the other women. So now that somebody cussing you, I should waste my superpower, which is my voice and my energy, to come and speak on your behalf. Like I said, you know what, again, you know, people might look at me and say, oh, if you claim to be a woman's advocate, you're supposed to speak. No, I've realized that we have a lot of tokens in Liberia, and I will not use my energy. My energy will be reserved to help the women who actually speak out for other women, not women who you sit in the corner, you depend on these women's group because you want to advance in your career. And once you get there, you don't do one thing that will do anything for any woman. What Madeleine Albright said, there is a special place in hell for women who don't help each other. So my point is just coming from a very selfish perspective. I will not waste my voice and my energy, which I call my superpower, to speak on their behalf. Robina, you want to?
Women or women?
Women. God dog it. Ask them to return money. Nobody wants to say anything. What's that?
Okay, I've listened, and I'll say this. It's actually inappropriate from both sides, what has happened. And I haven't read any of their posts or anything like that, just piggybacking off of what you all said. That was not this is not the platform that you should bring this negativity to. It looks bad, looks unprofessional.
How big?
And
hello, juicy.
I believe that it's yeah, well, to some it's juicy, but this is not the place for it. I mean, we have a lot of things going on presently that we could be focused on. And, you know, sometimes it just seems like where we come from, when things are negative, it pumps up more, but it's very inappropriate, both sides, by the way, and not the platform to do this on, seriously.
No, but Robina, let me disagree a little, right? We are discussing everything that is going on across the country, right? And this is something that needs to be spoken about. If a man comes out and speak about two ladies because they are contesting against it, and we should just keep quiet about it, and you said this.
No, I did not say.
No, you said the platform. No, you said the platform is not.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, you don't just stand up and then you coming out of the courthouse and you cussing somebody, or you using your.
Oh,
these people have a lot of followers.
No. But this is why it should be discussed here. You know, this is the right platform for it. We have people listening. We have people watching. We should discuss.
Loretta, I'm not saying our platform. I'm saying that when they're coming out of the various areas, it was wrong to speak that way. I'm not saying we can talk about it here. That's fine. I just feel that it's inappropriate, and the setting at that time was not appropriate, or to start bashing each other. That's not fair.
Oh,
that's
okay.
all I'm
if you
saying.
said that, then I agree. Yeah.
Somebody's telling me to say the money business heighting me. Yes, that $30,000. Yeah, per that one I can let it go. But no, I think honestly, we do need to stick to the issues. But we know, you know, politics. We will have these type of comments, and the campaigning hasn't even started yet. So imagine what's about to happen next year, leading into 2023.
I remember when it was, I think when Telio was running against Polita. Remember the conversation was just always about her hair.
Yeah,
Again, it was about her physical appearance.
yeah.
And then someone just sent me a message saying that there was a reporter who recently attacked the vice president. I don't know how recently, but attacked the vice president about the men and named the men that she has been intimate with. So of course, like we've been saying, it's the conversation that we continue to have once we're discussing women, which is unfair, which is, again, it goes, I keep saying we gotta create the narrative on how we're discussed.
Yeah. And
The funny thing is, science did not say anything different about a man and a woman with relations to sexuality.
Yeah, but society
Women feels the same as men. Women have the same urge to do whatever a man does. So I just feel that men that go after a woman's sexuality is weak. They have nothing else to say to the woman.
Yeah.
And they feel that's the only thing they can say to her to bring her down.
Hit below the
With
belt.
that being said,
y'all keep talking
it
about
doesn't mean-
homosexuality. Sexuality, we talking about sexuality is if you are gay.
Wait, your sexual life. Okay.
Oh, your sexual life. That's what. Oh, yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
your sexual life.
Habits. Your
sexual habits. Yeah. But with that said, it does not mean you as a woman should always be at the forefront of trying to instigate situations where, you know, people will feel the need to attack how you decide to be sexual with other people.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's a 50-50 thing. If you present yourself to the society in a way where you are respected, even if people know stuff about you that they feel is wrong, they will not be brave enough to even talk about it.
Protect
But
you.
if you constantly attack people and you attack their character, the only thing they would do if they don't have anything else that they think the public will be interested in, as you now know, with social media and all the different blogs and everything that comes to sex sells more. So that's the first thing the person will go for. And obviously, Yeke knew because he was with newscasters. He was with journalists. There were journalists and people recording what he was saying. So he had calculated what his response would have been when he was going to be asked that.
I'm not.
Y'all know that representative is very thought-provoking. Everything that comes out of his mouth, he's going to say something to
All
get
right, well, let
Lavetta
Lavetta say the last word on this issue, and then we'll move to the hottest topic of the week.
Let me say this, ladies. If you have an ambition, if you know you want to be a politician, you have to start from day one. That is from the time you are growing up. From the time you decide that this is what I want to do. You see, when Obama decided to go, the people checked everywhere for him about, you know, behind him, what he did not do. So that's it. If you're not living an exemplary life, if you're not living like a leader within your home, among your family members, within your community, and all of a sudden you just wake up one morning, oh, I think you think I'm money inside, or I think if Yeka can be, I can be. If so and so can be, I can be. Then you jump up, and then you have all these different things. You have force in the community. You have maybe naked yourself in the community. I'm just saying, I'm not just referring to this particular, you know, case. I'm just speaking about that. No matter what you want to do in life, it should start from the beginning, the very earliest part of your life. Start to speak well, start to research, start to be respectful, start to be somebody of integrity, so people cannot question you. And that's how, and that's the problem we have in this society. People just come 2 years to election and we just want to vote them in. It's not right.
It's a good point for us to kind of end on this, but as I think Veda just put in there, it should not be the responsibility of the woman only. This is an advice that should be for all of our politicians. And that's the reason why they choose to demean each other in such petty ways, because they have no platform, because they're in it for the wrong reasons, because they just started to do it. That's it. And they're in it for the wrong reason. But because women are so far behind Veda, I think that's why we're just kind of focused on the women. We're trying to play catch up. So, and because we're trying to play catch up, then now we need to prepare ourselves even more. In America, what they used to say to the Black people, they say you got to try harder, because now just Black people or women, Black women, they say not only are you Black, you're a woman. So unfortunately for us, we're trying to play catch up to a male dominant society. So yes, we're focused on the women a little bit more, but this should kind of cut across the board. Now, speaking of cutting across the board and politics, they want yeah. Okay. So about what, 2-3 days ago,
Let me drink some more water here first.
there was a burial. Think about 3 weeks ago, the Minister of State of Presidential Affairs, Mr. Nathaniel McGill, lost his mother, which, our sympathy goes out to him and his family. But about a couple of days ago, the funeral or the burial, we started receiving videos from the burial site. And this was no ordinary burial site. And apparently all of this was done in 3 weeks. It was a house with a grave site inside. It was a beautiful house. It looked, the fence, landscape. And then a friend of mine was saying, they're so thankful for the Oma because the road was actually paved there, and that road had been very bad, as we know. Now, in a country like Liberia, where we've seen our economy, regardless of your political affiliation, the economy is at its worst. On paper, it's bad. It's at its worst it's ever been. Nobody, the UNDP or the UN or the World Bank, all of these people who track this type of information on paper, we are at a point where the economy is just bad. Unemployment is high. Then on top of all of that, the fact that we can't even make our national budget, but on top of all of that, we're experiencing this third wave of COVID. We've been begging our partners for vaccines. We've been begging our partners and the Liberian community at large for testing kits and different equipments for the hospital because we don't have the resources. So as we're doing all this begging, and you see the Minister of State, he built this beautiful house. It really is a beautiful house. It looked like it would be maybe about a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house. He had added a bathroom in it. I don't know if he added a bathroom in it, but fence on the lake, looked like a lake house. And everybody here who knows the characters in our country, and I'm saying characters for lack of a better word, most of the people who are in power, like Minister McGill, people are referencing like 3 years ago, you didn't even have a car. Now you're able to do all of this. So where's this money coming from? And where's the sensitivity in you showcasing this beautiful house, a tomb for your mother? I'm gonna let y'all take that away.
I don't have a problem with people having burials. I remember last year, a friend of mine lost his father. He's also a member of parliament in one of the nearby country. He lost his father, and
I
it had
clarify,
to.
he in Europe.
No, he's West African country.
In Liberia?
No, not Liberia, but
Yeah.
neighboring country to Liberia.
No, we want to know that, yeah, because there's a difference in our different country. Yeah.
No, he lost his father, and he had to wait at least about 8 months to do the burial, because according to their culture, there were a lot of plans that they had to make, a lot of rituals and stuff. So they had to save money for it. Yeah. Obviously, he does have a business in America. He's a certified public accountant and he runs his own business. But the fact that he's also a member of parliament didn't make it seem too appropriate not to wait for the contributions of the other family members and of the other people, the other donations, to be able to do the funeral as was requested, as was required by their tribe. On the other hand, you know,
What are you trying to say?
Yeah. Yeah, because let's go to somebody else. We got our other.
Now, this is
I'm
mostly
like,
to
yeah.
listen. That was a requirement for them. So they waited a long time so that they will be able to situate it. That's one point with being aligned with government and you know, doing opulent ceremonies. In this case, it has been a very short while. And then the fact that Liberia is small and everybody basically knows everybody's houses and their families. And, you know, you could probably see someone in the street and then you will be able to tell the last 3 jobs on their resume because we are so close and so familiar. It does raise a lot of eyebrows, you know. It does raise a lot of eyebrows. And I think I saw a post today from the Minister of State saying that there's no problem in honoring your parents.
No,
My concern
it wasn't
is
a quote. It was a copy from the Bible. He actually did a whole.
no, yes, there was a verse from the Bible about.
And I will quote somebody who said it was
garden.
a copy and paste that he posted from the Bible justifying this burial site. And that God said we should honor our father and our mother so that days can be.
Yeah, but honoring, they say, even in the same sayings, they say, give your flowers while you are alive.
Yeah, give your flower. Don't give the flower of
If you were not
the government, the people taxes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me chime in really quick. Let me chime in really quick, right? So from the minister's post today, where it's honor thy father and thy mother, and you know, obviously give them all of those things, all of what he said, right? Now, my thing is that the only way to honor your mother and father? My mom always has this thing where she said, whatever I have for you, I will give it to you while you're alive. I won't wait until you die before I give it to your family, you know, for whatever. So now I will tie it into something, right? There was a time I was at my friend's house on the Old Road, and it's right there by the Madingo graveyard, right? So we stood on their porch and watched them do a burial in that graveyard that day. They brought in a casket, which looks like absolutely nothing, just wood. They put the body in it, the body came in the casket. They took the body out. They had dug the ground already, put that body in the ground, wrapped up in white cloth, cover it. And if you look in that graveyard, there's no tombstone. There's nothing that marks a grave. So are we saying that the only way to honor thy father or thy mother is by giving them this extravagant burial?
The people's money,
the Muslim community, they don't do that. So are we saying they're not honoring their mother and fathers?
They are honoring, but it also comes down to country too. In public health, they have something they call public nuisance. And it comes in a lot of different forms. It's also in environment too. We have not yet been able to specify how burials should take place. I remember where I was, you know, in JJ Roberts on March 15th, we marched down to, you know, up the hill there and, you know, go to do some ceremony in honor of the first president. And then, you know, decorate the other presidents they have on Center Street there. The place had become so crowded that people were, you know, stealing spaces of old tombstones to bury new people. We still have not made any kind of rule or any kind of law on what is appropriate for a burial.
I don't even think people are so concerned about someone is saying, you know, the zoning process. Yeah,
nobody really cares.
That's another issue. The issue that people have is this. You are more than likely using government resources to honor thy mother and thy father. You're wait. You're in a situation as a public official. You are a public official. Okay, let's not forget when we say government resources, you are a public official. To build a house for your mother, a completed house for your mother as a tomb, to fence it in, to do the landscape, to get a gold casket, to pave the road, apparently the road is way in from the main road to the water.
To the lake.
Yeah, from the main road to the lake to the water, to pave that all in 3 weeks. We shouldn't sit here and pretend like, oh, you know what? Yeah, he could have saved his money. Why he was saving your money? Because he knew his mom was gonna die, huh? Or that his friend did it. Or his friend did what? His friend actually built a house in 3 weeks.
Putting it on the other side,
Not
I know,
in,
like, right?
by the
I know
way,
on the other side in Ghana. I know
not
in
leave
Ghana,
Ghana,
you can take loans.
Liberia.
In Ghana, you can
Yeah,
take
listen,
loans
why
for
I say,
funerals.
You
I
are
just
begging
let me
for a
be the
vaccine.
devil's
You
advocate
are
for a
begging
minute.
for a vaccine. You are begging the international partners for a vaccine for your yeah. You spend 1 penny on it. That's why we're getting Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson are the one we getting, and they're AstraZeneca. The Johnson & Johnson that other people might be having problems with are the one we getting. We
So
spend
let's say this minister says that he did take a loan to bury.
That would be a
Now
next
it brings
excuse.
me
Now,
to
you're
the
not
point
getting
of finding out how much do you need to carry on a burial. I know my grandma, she's 86 now. My grandma been singing since I was small that when she died, we should wrap her in white cloth and put her away if we can get her whatever she needs when she's alive. You know, so how much is enough for a burial? Because obviously there was no rituals involved, you know, with specific tribes where you got to kill cow and, you know, do mat and all those different things. It was just a burial.
Yeah, but
so
no,
how
I
much
don't
are you
even think
investing
people are.
as a public servant?
Yeah, people are
So,
concerned
you know,
about where your money came from for all of this development within 3 weeks when you are back in the international community. If you had the money, if you somebody who had the money and you were known to, you know, you the president of some company or your company being successful, and you want build a 5-story house to put your mom in, I don't think people will care. People actually defend you when people start saying what a man was saying money for. The voice will say that your money, and not a man work for his money. But the fact that you are a public official, now we're seeing people who are now saying, my man, we knew you. We knew you. Me today, I don't have a private jet. I get job and I go buy a private jet, and I can tell you that because I took loan. They are my top for me. Oh.
When I talk for you, man. I would be the first one to tell the
but
story.
I think, you know, I think being in the public's eye, you know, having a government job, it gives you should be more sensitive of how you abuse the use of your office, or even the use of finances that you have been able to acquire or achieve, whatever which way you got it in. And you know, that is something that we have to pay attention to. The fact that we don't ask these questions, we don't question these people, we don't, you know, take them to the ground to find out how these things happen. We talk about it after 1 week, nothing else happened, and then sooner or later someone else would die. I remember back when Ina Dogolie died, there was the Palapa hut they did near the LBS there. And after a few years, the family had to relocate the body because the expenses that came with the maintenance of a grave just in the middle of nowhere was, you know, uncalled for. So those are things that you consider. Yes, you have a public office today, but what happens tomorrow when you no longer have the public office and you need to, you know, maintain the generator and the Wi-Fi, as you know, we're speculating on Facebook.
Rabina,
And, you know, all those different things.
where's Rabina and Lafetta? Y'all got any input on this?
Yeah, Lavetta.
Well,
I'm
Claudia,
still thinking, I'm coming.
no, Rabina, you are not on the show to be thinking on the after the show. Claudia and Salamartu have said a lot on it already. I don't know how much more time we have on this topic. Salamartu, can you let me know?
We got about 10 minutes.
Because I think you and Claudia said a lot. But let me say this, right? When the Bible talks about honoring your father and your mother, I will start from that before I go into whatever happened. It speaks of respecting them, showing them love, obeying them, making them happy while they are on earth. you know, making them excited, doing everything that's going to please them. Now, as Clarice said, this is the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs. Who knows? Maybe he has been promising his mom. Maybe your mom did something real good for him one time and he said, Mommy, I will do anything for you. I will be your husband. I will, even if you die, I will give you the best burial ever. And he finds himself in the position where he can give it. It doesn't matter how, when, but he feels that he wants to maybe makes his mom happy. I don't know the relationship he had with his mom while she was alive. But I think what really causing the noise around is the time. Is it timely? Is it timely? But then again, when you ask, is it timely? You said, when is the right time for his mom to die? You know, when people say, oh, others don't have food, others don't have this, we're in the midst of poverty, we're in the midst of difficult situation, we're in the midst of health crisis. But these were the times her mom died. And maybe this is how he wants to bury her. I don't know where he got his resources from, so I'm not going to go into that.
Yes.
But the noise is it timely? Now, his mom is not going to die again. This
Yeah,
is the only time it.
Yeah.
Nobody. So,
yeah.
so yeah. So,
So
you
now,
know,
has she been honored?
Claudia, wait now.
Why is that our problem, our concern? If how he honors his mom,
exactly.
That's not our
think,
concern.
I don't think
It shouldn't be our responsibility how he honors his mother. That's not our responsibility. And he wanted his mom and something to air that his business. We don't care. But you don't do it with state resources. And for us to sit here and pretend that, oh, you know, yeah, he went and got a loan, or we know where the money came from, that's some bull crap. Okay, to pave road from the main road to the water, to build a house in Liberia, people who actually work Monday through Saturday and save the money and take 3-4 years to build one bedroom house. There is
a conflict between being a public servant and a private servant, or just a private citizen. You know, he could afford to do these things if he was a private citizen and had his own money. The guy in Nigeria who just buried his mom, Claudia, what his name? You don't want to know all the foreigners.
I mean, no other foreigner. I know, but the guy owns a club.
OB.
He did not even bury his mom.
Let me just. Friends. Yeah, listen. Okay, listen. Okay, so you claim that his friends bury his mom.
Yeah,
what if my girl comes out and say, yeah, but what if my girl comes out and say my friends contributed to this and they wanted this? You know, people that my mom took care of and people that my mom served.
But when you're contributing to a public servant, there's a certain amount of money.
That's what I'm saying.
There's a certain thing. So
all of that
is why.
If you are a public figure, remember, eyes are on you. Anything you do, you go to the bathroom, you move, you this, it is on you. So when people ask questions, you're supposed, when you're a public figure, you're working.
Yeah, I think
that's how I know it to be.
You know,
I think his defense was very poor today because there was nothing said to justify what I mean, everything that I read and I think, oh, the Bible said honoring your mom. He should have said other things that would have just quiet, you know, the whole thing down. But I mean, again, I said, you know, when it comes to people losing their loved ones and how they bury, I really don't like to talk a lot into that, even though he's a public figure, but it pains. And I'm not sure whether the ladies or the old mom's spirit is resting in peace because there's been a lot of noise. And I'm not even sure that Minister McGill is having a restful night or some restful night since he did that. You know, so these are consequences of your action as a public servant. I told I was telling somebody the other day, I said I can cook here and post my food all on Facebook. Nobody gonna tell me, say, oh, I still in government money. The moment I get in government and post the same food on Facebook, they will say, but how should I not post it? She's stealing our money. You know, so you have to rather look at your private life and distinguish it from your public life. I served in government before 8 years. I knew what to show on Facebook and I knew what not to show on Facebook. I was in government for 8 years in top management position.
Yeah.
You know,
But-
so
and-
people
and-
look at you and like you don't have your own money once you're in government. I don't like that because I have been a victim of that. You know, once you do something, they say, oh, that government money. Oh, so you make a trip, that government money. You take your family on trip, that government money. You eat salad in the night, that government money. So we
No,
have
but
to
let
get
me
rid
say
of
this.
those things. Yeah.
The
And the
reason
timing
why
might not be right, but your mom cannot die again.
No, nobody, yeah, no, all of us have lost loved ones. And we don't, I mean, you are not determining when your loved one dies. All of us have, we're not concerned about, that's not, I don't think that's people's issue. Liberian people love day by day business. You know, you lose somebody, we're there for you. That thing we like, we're there for you, right? So I don't think that Liberian people have a problem with that. You know, my uncle used to say a lot of times when people take money that don't belong to them or they didn't earn, honestly, they tend to do it way, they build that thing way inside. And again, I'm not saying that he stole the money because I don't know if he stole money. What I'm saying is this: in the great United States of America, they have a thing called your social security number. They give you a social security number. That number is your identity without anybody knowing who your mom, who your pa is. When you go get a house, if you want a car, you don't have to have cash. They type that number in and they give you the history. If you're somebody who make a lot, they can determine, you know what, we're going to give you this amount. So they use that information to determine how much you are able to live off alone. We live in Liberia. Nobody will come and tell any one of us within 3 years that anybody who did not have a car that could start yesterday, that 3 years later, not by starting a company that you own that did well, that you can show us the financial statement that it actually did well, but by working for a poor government, a government of a poor country. We are poor. We can barely make our national budget. If we were a country, if we were a company, would be bankrupt. You're working for a poor country, and in 3 years, you're able to build a house in 3 weeks, a shrine for your mother in 3 weeks, the road all the way from the knee road, and I keep saying all the way. You got many of us know how far the knee road is to the water around Marshall area, around the airport. We know how far the road is.
That's why I was talking. That's why I was talking about public health and environmental health. There are things that are nuisances. There are guidelines that people need to follow. There are effects of the decaying body into the soil, into the systems, into the environment. There are all those different things to consider. You know, if we have the EPA working and we have public works working and we have the zoning agencies working, those are all things, you know, you could do a burial, you could do a simple grave, you could do a statue if you want, you know, to show, you know, what it is. But some structures and the positions of those structures are considered to be nuisances based on where they are located. Now, if that is a community, or if a community is meant to be in a specific location and you go and put in a cemetery in that location, you kind of take away the classification of that particular area. You're going to have specific concerns. Now, you're not even considering if that particular environment is, you know, for some natural resources purposes or something else. There's no consideration. As far as you have money to buy a piece of land, you do whatever you want to do with it. And that is something that we should also be able to look at.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
Well,
because it's the same issues in communities where you have people building really nice houses, and then near it, because somebody else had the land near it, so they build a church or Kobo shop, and then you have them living there because you think it is. In public health, in environmental health, in zoning, those are all things that have serious issues, and that is where our focus should be. You know, if there is any good with the government and they want to investigate the opulent burial, I think that's the rights of GAC to do so. You know, the citizens have the right to request such investigations. So that should be done.
Yeah.
But then we should also understand that our environments need to be laid in a certain way so that we don't face problems in the future. You will have decay, you will have a lot of different things that are not called for because we just do the wrong things all the time.
Okay.
You know what,
Yeah.
Salamatu?
True?
Salamatu,
Yeah, yeah.
Salamatu, this entire ordeal, first of all, the people are upset. And they have the right to be. Look at where we are now, today. Things are not okay at all. We're overseas, we're advocating, we're doing fundraisers. It looks, not too good for us. We're trying to help. And then this happens. I think he needs to go back. I know he's grieving, and when you lose a parent, it's very hard. Our emotions are mixed, but still, the people are not happy because of that. He needs to address it.
But no,
Let me-
he's
let
already
me-
addressed
let me-
it.
let me-
Let's try to move on to the next.
Yeah, let me quickly
topic.
say that, similar thing was done for Inna Dogolie and Chief Tamatera, right, during the Chancellor's administration. And that one was built right by the LPS where PA had her restaurant. I don't know if you ladies can
And
remember.
what happened with that?
Up to
Yeah.
the market.
And the Chancellor administration, first of all, there were a lot of hardship and whatnot. People talk the same way. At the end of the day, just quiet it down and we move on.
They didn't move
As
about it.
administration.
They didn't move.
Yep.
But that was years after they exhumed the
Exactly.
body. That
Yeah,
was years
Lavetta,
after.
let me say something.
That was a temporary burial site anyway. They didn't make
Yeah,
that
the
way.
next.
But that's why you talk about public nuisance because
But here's the thing, y'all going to zoning this way. Let us leave the zoning this way.
irrelevant.
Yeah, the zoning, that is another issue, we agree. Right now, we're just talking about the fact that you're using, anyway, that I know that particular site, they remove his body. But in Liberia, we tend to forget our history. Just within the last 30 years, as government come in and done things that the public weren't happy about, they just patiently waited for them to move out of office, and then they go and just loot the stuff. I would hate to see this for his burial site. And maybe it won't happen because number one, it way inside from the main road, it way to the water. But you watch what happens when this guy gets out of office. And because there are a lot of people who get upset, but they can't talk because they say, oh, the main office, he powerful. But if you sitting in that community where that road, because a friend of mine, again, he has a property there, he said the road was horrible. He said, thank God for the Omao that at least they paved the
We should just, as a
road.
public official, you should be careful with certain things,
Yeah, man.
Nobody's saying that you should not live your best life. Nobody's saying that your families and yourself, are not worth the best things.
Right,
But you
Gladys,
should
you're
also
right.
be conscious of the
Yes.
society you find yourself in and the
Exactly.
people that are around you.
Yes.
We often see in Liberia, you will find a minister staying somewhere with 100 kVA generator, and then just right outside his fence, the house that is there doesn't even have roof on it.
Right.
We should try to be our own brother's keeper. At
Yes.
least look out for the people around you, and so that you don't just pop out as the one being elaborate with everything that you do. So that should be a concern
Yes.
of public
Yep.
officials.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is,
Watch it.
Yeah. So
that is not even
to-
good for your own security.
as we move
Exactly.
to the main topic of today that we really wanted to talk about, tomorrow we are celebrating 174 years of independence. Liberia is. It's our Independence Day. We're excited. Oh yeah, our Hill, Liberia Hill. But the other day I was reading Madame Lima Bowie's speech that she gave for 2 years ago, right? That's when she was the national orator. Who is our national orator for this year? I'm sorry.
Dr.
Dr.
Nelson.
Nelson. Dr. Nelson.
Sawolo Nelson.
Okay.
And he will be introduced by a student from Hilla, Chonetta.
Oh, a girl too. Yay.
Yeah.
So Madam Bowie
Chonetta
did her
Stefan.
speech. Now I remember when this woman was doing her speech, when she came on the stage with the broom. That should have been the first sign that this year will not be good for us. But she just pretty much talk about, three types of people in our society. Her theme was, we're stronger together. But for some reason, Liberia just seemed like broken pieces because of three major groups that are in Liberia. The no position, the what was it? The no position,
The ruling position and the
the ruling,
opposition.
and then the opposition. Very clear, of course. The no position are those people who they just don't talk about anything.
Way by the wind.
Yeah, that the majority of society. Oh, yeah, check him chin, let him kill there, yeah. And these are the people who are actually suffering the most in society. Their children don't have any access to education, to healthcare, to food, in lots of time. And then, of course, you have the ruling party who obviously are in office. Then you have the opposition. Those are the people who literally live to criticize everything that's going on because they're literally just waiting for their chance to jump into office and do the same thing. And it got me thinking about a speech that was given by, I don't remember.
Salamartu, I'm sorry, before
Yeah.
you do that, your description of opposition, I don't think was placed. Because opposition does not necessarily mean that you're waiting to get into.
No. Wait, I'm not giving my opinion on what the opposition is. I'm giving my opinion on what she stated. She stated there was three types. The opposition are usually the within Liberian society. So there was a speech given by this Nigerian guy. I couldn't find the speech, but there was something that was taken out of that speech and shared with me regarding the Greeks. They actually identified three types of people on earth. They said the idiots, and the idiots is not a curse word. It's just a group of people. And then you have the tribesmen, and then you have the citizens. The idiots, again, just like the no position, they represent most of the society. These are the people who they lie, they steal, they cheat, they kill. If they're in government, they steal. These are the people who really don't care about society. They just literally just living. They suffer the most in society. This is the Greek way back in civilization. And then you have the tribesmen. And the tribesmen are the group of people who, I'm sorry, the tribesmen are the group of people who, the only thing they identify with are the people who are within the circle. So if you're not within a circle, the hell with you. Yeah, they don't care about anybody else. You must be within that circle of their friends, which is usually the oppositions and the ruling party, two other group. And then the last group of people are called the citizens. There's a small group of people within a lot of societies. These are the people who obey the law. These are the people who help each other. These are the people who, if they are in government, they won't cheat, they won't do anything. And it got me thinking about Liberia in general. We are 174 years old. There's a lot of things that I do know about Liberia's history. And I always tell people what I know about Liberia's history, most of what I know anyway, I learned while I was in America from the Library Congress, from, my uncles, my aunties sharing documents with me and saying, this happened, that happened, this happened. And I knew Liberia, there was a lot of good things that were happening when you look on the international scale. We were doing good as a country. Our GDP was good. We were exporting. We had a vibrant private sector. Granted, I think part of our problem at that time, prior to 1979, our problem was that we hadn't decentralized a lot of the great activities that the world has seen in Monrovia, which Liberia in general. But I think we hadn't really decentralized a lot of those activities. So the people on the ground, in every county can also feel like they're part of the great development that was happening. And I think that was always part of our problem. But fast forward to now, at 174 years old, it looks as if we are a nation who just started yesterday. And the question is, what's keeping us from moving forward as a developed nation. What is that? What is keeping us? And I know corruption, people say corruption, but corruption in what sense? If you're going to say corruption, what exactly is keeping us from moving forward in developing as a nation? So I don't know who want to start this. Robina?
What's up, I will blame myself. Willpower to do what I have to do to take my country forward.
So you
The
jealous?
negative,
That's
the
how I
negative.
would
So then exactly the point that we come to, I'm tired. I've done my part and nothing is changing. Do I have that power within me to always move forward when there is something wrong? Am I willing to be my brother's keeper? You know, so it starts with me as a citizen. Patriotism, nationalism, it starts with me. So I will look at
I think
myself.
also,
I am stopping. I am stopping Liberia from moving forward. And I need to look within myself and see what can I do? What am I willing to, how far am I willing to go to sacrifice? And even empower others, because our time on earth, we don't know when we'll leave, but who have I empowered? Who have I, that ripple effect, who have I touched? They'll be able to continue. It starts with me.
You know, honestly, what Rubina just said resonates like a lot with me, because it was going to be the corruption, the this, the that, the other, and then you kind of take a step back and hear Rubina saying that I have to look in the mirror and see that I'm a part of the problem as well. So what you just said, it resonates. It really does. So
I think we have, we have grown up in a society where I have noticed a lot of times around me, Liberians, we are not we are not pushy. We are easily intimidated. Our self-esteem is low. We have serious problems with our self-esteem. And because of that, getting ourselves to a place where we can take actions for the right things to be done is extremely difficult. We always feel we need to, get or go ahead from someone. We need to get some sort of approval before we can make a move or, get something done or rectify something or process something. We always want approval. And it shares out in every aspect of our lives and our doings. You will find a Liberian who started a business and they don't want to do anything else because nobody has told them the business will be good. Yeah. Their friends have not said, oh, your business is okay, I like your business. So the negative energy overfills them and they just stop doing what they have to do. So yeah, we all are part of the problem, but we all are part of the solution until we can start to enable ourselves to be what we want to be instead of looking for other people to approve us. We're not going to do anything. And because we don't have that self-approval, that's why we have all the issues with corruption, all the issues with broken policies, with broken procedures, with disrespect, with hate. Everything stems from us not even loving ourselves enough to push ourselves forward. So yeah, I think that's where our problem is.
Well, let me come in, and I like the way Robina started. Everyone taking responsibility of where the country is. And as Clarice said, we all should be a part of where we want it to be. Now, whenever I'm discussing the province of Liberia, I really like to firstly mention the roles of the families, family values. Everyone who goes into society, everyone who goes into the church comes from the family. Now, when the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should grow, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Most of the time we misunderstand the whole thing, we misquote that Bible verse because we just think, now that way you train a child, whether negatively or positively, that child will not depart from it. If you decide not to discipline the child when the child is young, or you decide not to put the child in the corner for that 5 minutes time up, I tell you what, society will put that child in jail for about 15 or 5 years. So the family has to, if we all as parents can play our role by disciplining our child, let your child know that if he takes something from behind you, that is corruption. Corruption shouldn't only be seen as in government. Corruption is in all of the homes. You send your maid to the market, she ate some tere susu. You send your driver to go get your fuel or your gas, he puts maybe $15 and take $5 in his pocket. So it tells you that the parents are not playing their role. Train your child, and nobody, no parent can tell me, oh, I did, or most of the time when you hear parents say, oh, I did all I could, they are referring to buying things for the children and sending them to quote unquote good schools. Good schools cannot discipline your children. All right. So when you're talking about playing the role in your child's life, that you want your child to be in society and be respected, and that reflects on you. Like I tell people always say, oh, the youth are the future leaders. I said, no, the youth should be the future leaders, but if they are not raised well, they cannot be future leaders. Because frankly speaking, people that we have in positions, now I don't call them leaders, I call them positions occupiers.
Ooh.
They are just there occupying. There are 5 levels of leadership. There are 5 levels of leadership, you know, and they're just there occupying the position and there to do, but they are not leaders. Leadership has to do with the right decision making. It has to do with how you respect your subordinates. It has to do with what you want to take. That it could be a department, it could be the agency, it could be the institution, it could be the ministry, where you want to see the ministry in the next year or in the next 6 months when the next budget year passes. So I want the family, the parents to play more role in impacting the society. If I'm a parent and I say, I would tell my child, it's not good to steal. Do not go in the refrigerator and take something that does not belong to you, because that is corruption. If we start to inculcate the true meaning of corruption into our kids' head, they will grow up being afraid to be corrupt. If
somebody says that Liberia don't have a lot of families. You know, there are a lot of single parents. There are a lot of orphans.
Yeah. And that's why, Claudia, I'm saying family, and I'm saying parents. You can also call them family if you, let me tell you, a family should not even, it shouldn't be limited to the man and his wife, his children.
Yeah.
I can be a single mother, and you know what, a family is more than the man, wife, and children. Even when you come to a home, you can be in a 1-bedroom, and you can consider that as a home, depending on what you do there. Depending on what you do there, what is done in the home. You know, so when I'm talking about family, I'm talking about single mother or single dad. But what my main aim is for us to guide our children, raise our children. Don't just let your children be with you or growing with you. Raise them well. And when they enter into society, people will sense the difference. People will say, yes, truly that child is raised well. Because if you fail to do it, society will definitely do it. Start now by telling your child in preschool, do not take this. If you take this, this is corruption. Corruption, you know, in Liberia, I noticed that we limit corruption only to government officials. And you have corruption out of government even more than in government, because at least in government, we are saying is talk about. But what happened to the taxi driver who pick you up from EW Junction and take you to grocery and cash you whatever? What happened to the motorbike girl? What happened to the market women who will decide what kind of fish, the way you dress? That's how, and I remind people every time I interact with them. I remind people, I said, you know that this is corruption, right? because we have to keep telling them. They don't know that this is corruption. And
So
if corruption
family-
is our main problem, we have to start from childhood. We have to start from preschool, from kindergarten, from 3 years or from 2. I tell people what, as young as the baby can be very young, 2 months, 3 months, maybe a month old. If you try to change that baby from breast milk to the formula, that baby will resist the change. It tells you that people know when there are changes. The people know what they want and they know what you are telling them. So people, the babies learn.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
All
my
right,
mom
so
doesn't want
that- yeah.
so I just, yeah.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
we get like family values is lacking from Liberia, and that needs, you know, yeah. So who else? The Charlene?
Claudia didn't speak.
Friday? Oh,
Finish, oh.
try to finish.
Claudia, finish.
Oh yeah, we talk about the willpower, we talk about self-love, we talk about family values.
We just have to
But-
own up to
What we didn't
responsibilities,
speak
you know.
on,
A
we
lot
didn't
of
speak
the
on
blame
is,
game.
we
The
didn't
blame
speak
game is too
on,
much.
What you
I didn't
say,
talk now.
Charlene? No, Charlene, what you say?
No, what we didn't talk about, we didn't talk about leadership. We didn't talk about
I won't touch on that.
proper leadership.
Yeah.
Obviously, that has been our Achilles heel. We haven't gotten proper leadership throughout the years. We've gotten mediocre leadership and we continue to get mediocre leadership. And because of that, we take one step forward, we take 5 back, and then we take another step forward. And by the time we look, we're 20 steps behind and we think that we're progressing, but we honestly are not making any progress at all.
Yeah, and reading some of the comments, Paul Moore said, I like the idea of personal responsibility, but the rise and fall of nations throughout history started with leadership. Right? Fada said, then what do we do with children having children? What's the percentage of communities who are comprised of true families? A country rift with broken families and no safety nets is going nowhere very quickly. These, oh Lord, bandwidth. Yeah, you know, a 50-year-old mother can barely see her way through. She hits 30 and is a grandmother, 3 generations now in trouble. The purpose of government is to provide the framework. Family values work better when people are not barely existing. Hunger trumps everything. And let me say this, you know, working in Painesville City Corporation, I got a better understanding of how a lot of our communities within Monrovia and the greater area are set up and why they were set up a certain way. And most of the communities in Painesville, what happened, of course, you know, when the war started, a lot of people ran from outside of Monrovia, they ran into Monrovia for a safe haven, and they created these communities. So like you were crew, you came and you settled in one area, it became like crew community, or they'll give you a name for it. If you, so people settle in Painesville specifically based on their tribes. Yeah, everything that kind of unite them. I'm sorry, I'm hearing an echo, that's why. Everything that united them, they kind of stuck together and they created these makeshift communities. So anywhere they found land, they just kind of settled in, they became a community. So you go into a community, you may not have a proper structure like the road or where the houses may be. They saw an empty spot, they built a house there. Whether it was on the water line, wasn't on the water line, they just built there. Remember before the war, there was a layout of the city. So the water pipes were running, you were going into homes, the electricity was going into homes. Of course, when the war started, because there were so many different infrastructures just created, these communities were built. And I'm saying this to say, in a lot of the households that were there were headed by women because most of their husbands were killed during the war and because they got sick. Even during Ebola, as recently during like Ebola in 2014, we went to one, what is that community of Somalia Drive? And it was nothing but women. I mean, they just had all of these women in there. And what happened is like a lot of the men died. So these women were stuck with being a single parent, and they were mostly market women. So our, because of the civil unrest, it has created different types of family structure, different types of communities. But I still don't think that's the reason why we fell behind. Family values, definitely. Of course, that's self-love. We're not really patriotic about Liberia. The willpower to do anything, even me, being here 11 years, I get tired now. But I think something else that we don't know is our history. We don't know our history. We don't want to accept our history. When we hear the bad things about some of our family, we say, no, it didn't happen. We hear the good thing, we say, yeah, it happened. And so we continue to fight. There's this struggle on what the actual history of Liberia is. And the only way you can move forward as a nation is if you understand your history. You don't have to accept and love all of your history, but you have to know it, and you have to say, you know what, damn, we did some bad things, we did some good things. What can we learn from the bad things? What can we learn to put your country forward as the good things? Other people praise our country. People always say, we used to come to Liberia to shop, to live, to go to school for a medical. So that tells you something was happening in Liberia. But as something good was happening in Liberia, I'm sure there were, there were things that weren't happening for everybody. So what do? Do you break the entire structure down and then say, you know what, we're going to break everything down, we're going to start from scratch? Or do you say, whatever is there, we're going to build on it and correct whatever issues we had? Now, too, not knowing your history, there's also a part that I strongly believe what Charlene said, leadership. Leadership. And when I think about leadership, I think about somebody who understands their moral responsibility to the country. The moral responsibility to the country. One, you got to have a vision. You got to have a long-term vision for the country. You have to be passionate about the country, meaning you have to be a nationalist, a patriotic. You honestly have to love this country. I say you get cause now and then, because that plenty of time sitting in the traffic because of people. But there's something about this country that I love. When I hear the national anthem, I honestly, I love it. I love being a Liberian. I always say it's my biological parents. So you have to be passionate about the country. The leader also has to be someone who has a good plan. And having a good plan, meaning you are transparent with that plan, that you share it so the community actually buys into that plan and they are part of the process. And also that you hold people accountable if they're not with the process in pushing the country forward. And then, of course, you got to have, I think Rabina said it, the willpower. You got to have the willpower to say, you know what, we have this vision, we have this plan that the community or the people they've bought into. We got to move this thing forward. And you have to not be selfish. We are not fixing Liberia for our generation. That's not how countries work. The generation who's alive, you are usually fixing a country for the other generation.
For two or three generations after you.
Exactly. And that should be the thinking. But most of the time, I know we run out of time, but most of the time we tend to do things for instant gratification. It's my time, it's right now. Hey, when your time comes, when I'm dead and going, you better get what you can get because I got mine. So you have to, it has to be that thinking that, hey, whatever I'm doing is not for my generation, it's for the generation after me. And I just quickly, I usually run into what a guy named Sam Jackson.
Why?
Every Liberian knows who Sam Jackson is.
Why?
But it's so funny, every time I run into him, he's like, I'm like, Mr. Jackson, our generation need to sue you. What do you mean? I said, we need to sue you. The thing that y'all are supposed to do for us, he said, me move for you, your generation too lazy. Oh, that's
where you did your time.
Yeah, but again, their generation, or like our parents' generation, that was.
You need to ask him when y'all were young, what y'all did.
No, I want to ask him. I think I know what he not do.
Y'all leave Mr. Jackson.
He said no what he not do. that is.
Well, the bottom line is we all need to be responsible. We all need to check the people that are close to us. You know, most times the failure comes from us when we don't check those that are close to us. We don't query our securities, our drivers, our sisters, our brothers when they do wrong. We let it slip by, and that's why we have a really
You
rotten
know,
society. So until we can
and you know
start doing that, we can do anything else. And that's why
the
Guinea and
Chinese.
Ghana and Sierra Leone and all the other countries will go by and develop, because there is some rule of law, there's some rule of responsibility, and there's some rule of paying actions for things that, you know, were wrongly done. So until we can put penalties in place for people to do things appropriately, then we're not ready for anything.
Okay, I'm gonna read one comment and then we'll go on to like last words. Give each person a chance to say something. I think it's just one or two. While I would agree that individuals or families could be responsible to move Liberia forward, we're talking about a majority of people who were 10, 11 years old when the war started. Where would they have learned these values and self-awareness and responsibility from? These people are being referred to grow up in trauma. You can't have self-worth when you haven't healed from the trauma. There needs to be a framework. Amen. I agree. I must say, even though I wasn't here for the war per se, I think each one of us has suffered, has been affected by the civil war. So, and then there's criticize wrong wherever it exists. I totally agree. Exactly. So, it's good, sometimes I say, to just have like-minded people who understands, we know what it takes to move us forward. So, I hope each one of us will be holding each one of us accountable. But I tell you one thing, if I get into office, I run for office or I work for office, and one day I buy one plane, you're gonna put your mouth for me. You're gonna talk for me like the way you're talking for.
I would
Yeah, I will not talk for nobody else.
I would talk.
You're gonna talk for me.
I will not talk for nobody.
Ladies, as we close down, I'm gonna give each one of you the last word. So I will just go around.
Let me start so I can go. I'm an hour
And then
in
she
here,
come and
so I
blame it
keep
on the
her.
poor child. She will blame it on the
She's
child.
still up, bro. She's still
Yeah,
up.
leave the child alone. Tomorrow's Independence Day.
So, well,
In everywhere.
I think in our
I wish-
closing, we need
But
to.
let Claudia finish. Since she
Yeah,
got
but
no,
in
that's
Claudia's-
not yeah.
in Claudia's, in all of us finishing, I think we need to speak on some of the good development that Liberia has made.
Yes.
Yes, we can identify all the wrongs, but we also need to talk about some of the good that we
I
have
agree.
done. So
Yeah, so my eye doctor I met, she's German. I met a German eye doctor in Ghana a couple of years. Not German, Egyptian.
I got 3 minutes each, so we run out of time.
She when I said I was a Liberian, she was so excited. She said she was on a waiting list to do her practical at JFK years back. So that was a really good thing. And she was explaining to me about all the nice things, they had at that time, how it was such a coveted thing to come to Liberia to work at the JFK hospital. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So that's one of the good things. So I've never been to Cape Palmas, even though my father says it's the most beautiful place
It is beautiful
on earth.
No, not on earth.
So yeah, there are places you can see the landscape and the development, of structures that were there before.
Yeah.
I know a couple of times I used to go up Ducor and just look at the landscape and the sunset. You can tell from the pictures that there were good things happening in Liberia way before all the wars and everything. And even Hotel Africa, when I was young, Sundays were times families went out and then they had the Muppet babies and the little pools. Yeah, they had those puppet things that come up, and
Anybody been on the ship that used to come with the books?
I think I would
The
pick it up
notice
for
ship?
that.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like, I think Mercy Court, there was this huge ship that used to come with a library on it. And you go on and you buy books and they have like hot chocolate. Maybe that's why I get my hot milk and hot
I
chocolate.
love for hot chocolate.
Yeah.
You know, in I think 2011, there was a ship that came in. Same thing. It had a bunch of books in.
Yeah, they used to
I think
come
it was
when I was
2011
there,
was
that
the
all-
notice ship that
Yeah.
came in. Yeah.
Yeah, there are good things. I mean, people are still willing to do good things. It's just that once we have accountability in place, a lot of people that want to invest into some of these programs, especially when it comes to education, their fear is trying to fly over here and there to get, you know, things done the way they want it to be done. And I must commend the Brenda from Keep. At least she's trying her best to get, you know, kids understand what reading is and, you know, how they can get into better communities. Those are things that schools, you know, used to have for common that are not even the school I graduated from. I don't even know if they still have a library there. So yeah, we can still do good. There are a lot of things that can be done over a short period of time, provided that we all take responsibilities for our actions and
Okay.
penalize, you know, those that are doing the wrongs.
All right,
I
so
agree.
So yeah, I just wish everybody a happy 26. Eat the jollof rice, mix with salad and cake and kueh, everything in one.
sure.
And
You won.
I see you guys next week. I have to go.
All right, kiss the
Happy
guys.
birthday, Shani.
Pressing the child. All right,
So
Charlene.
I just saw I think Veda posting about Telfa, and that
That's
wasn't
Olympics.
I wasn't even going to speak on it, but actually it needs to be said. It's Salamartu, I think you and I were at
Yes.
Royal.
Don't
when
tell
him
that story.
and his- I'll tell the full story. When him and his mom were there and we met him. But fast forward now, I was in New York City, I think last week, and everywhere I turned, there was another bag, and I'm so excited. I can't wait to get me a bag. I know this has nothing to do with nothing, but just seeing him and actually being able, this young Liberian kid, be on this big mainstream, on a big screen, and for him to have designed the clothes for the Olympics, the Liberian Olympics team, is such an amazing accomplishment, and he needs to be commended.
Yes, yeah, good thing.
Well, as we celebrate 174 years of existence, we do have a lot to boast of as a country. We also have a lot to do as a country. A few weeks ago, I was reading a book, Why Do Nations Fail? And something I read really touched me. It said that poor nations fail because those that have the power make choices to create poverty. As long as the people are uneducated, as long as the people are not in power, they will go by what the politicians want. We see that every year during elections, they grab these young people, put t-shirts on them, give them little money because what they are gullible, they are not educated. I mean, it is by no mistake that these politicians do not want to improve education. It is by no mistake that these politicians do not want to improve the healthcare system. Because why? They benefit from it.
Yeah.
They benefit from these lapses in the system. So as we celebrate tomorrow, it is my hope that we will rise up and celebrate this nation and let us know that the international community cannot do this for us. If we must overcome, we cannot depend on the government, not by the effort of the international community, but by the effort of every single Liberian.
We'll
You know,
make
when
it
I
for
read-
Rita next year. It'll better
When-
won't be for Rita.
No, it is actually the effort of every single Liberian. If we must overcome and put Liberia to a country. I mean, when the Chinese celebrated, I think the last time, the Chinese president said, China has arrived. China has arrived. When are we going to say Liberia has arrived? And he said the rising of China is unstoppable. It tells you of a nation that looks forward. Read the communication from the US Embassy in observance of this year independence. It talks about putting in plans for young people and opportunity for citizens across the nation.
Yeah.
That's how you build this country. That's how we're going to move from year to day.
Yeah.
You know, so I just thank you all for this platform, and I hope we were able to say something that, you know, some sensible that our viewers, our whatever, those,
yeah.
they, you know, but that's it. We must try, rise up and do it ourselves.
So Rapina, something positive.
Happy Independence.
Happy Independence Day.
I to thank you for the opportunity again. You know, the good thing about our friendship and then with everyone else, we try to bring each other in and get our inputs on how we can move forward or how we can do things that are positive that will impact others. I won't be long, but from what I see, we are going to get there. We're in it. We're having the conversations. We're not scared to go there. This is something that I never saw my parents do. You know, we came from 1980 and we're here. We can talk about it. We can get together in groups and discuss it. The big part is that we are here and Liberia will pull through because we're having these conversations now and we're going there. And we may not see it now, but I believe that generations to come or the future to come will see it because we're having the conversation now and trying to figure out what to do about it. So happy Independence Day to you all. And thank you again for the opportunity to be on here.
Okay, so thank you, ladies. So yeah, something positive about Liberia, of course. The designer, I let me confess, I had no idea who he was. Yeah, I don't know. But
Don't forget, we got the first female president of Africa.
Y'all don't get me started because I won't be horse show. It'll be a horse show. But
we also done a lot.
What a boy named Telfar?
Telfar.
Yeah, so good job.
Telfar Clemens.
And congratulations to the team Liberia at the Olympics. I wasn't sure, I was trying to find some information about them, if they were 5 or 8, because you know our coaches can follow them, so we even know.
I don't even know what activities they're participating in.
Yeah, the only thing I saw was track and field, so I don't know if it was something else. So, but anyway, congratulations to the young people who made it that far. You know, when we talk about what was happening in Liberia, I've learned so much about the private sector in Liberia. You know, Steve Tauber, his name came up. This was a very, very progressive guy. He had a successful company and so many people that, you know, you just sit and talking to them, a lot of these older guys, and they're like, oh, you know, my first job was with Steve Tauber. So you had a Liberian man who actually owned,
Maserati company.
Maserati company, group of companies. So he had like fishery. So they were exporting a lot of products out of here, including seafood, so shrimp. So you go to Canada, you go to America, it was actually on the shelf. I mean, you know, they were in grocery stores. So I was talking to, Chief Allen one time, and he was just talking, he was like, that was one of his first jobs that he got was with Steve Tauber. So, you know, you had Liberians who were producing jobs, who were exporting and really contributing to the economy. So just want to say, you know, that was something I thought it was really great. Spoke with a guy in Nigeria, and apparently the cold storage idea was taken from here to Nigeria. So they weren't even doing it. It was a Liberian, I think it was Steve Tauber, that actually started doing it, expanding in the region. Something that you don't even find nowadays, where you have Liberians actually doing business in the region. We were doing that because we're heavily involved in the setting up of ECOWAS. We're heavily involved in the African Union setup. So, that's something great that we can.
All started from the League of Nations, from there it went to the UN, then we started with the AOU, then went to the AU, and then we also were part of a founding member of ECOWAS. We have
in
played
Nima,
some
right? We
major
have a
roles,
site,
man.
in Nima with the AOU.
The Sane Kode conference,
Yeah.
that's for Totman, Kwame Nkrumah, and the guy from Guinea.
Yeah.
Conan. Yeah.
So these things were happening, and as I travel in the region, when I hear these things, I feel good to be a Liberian. It feels good to be a Liberian. So the other thing that I always say about Liberia is that we're very hospitable. So our tourism,
just not to cut you up, but Liberia also served as a rescue ground for during the South African.
We were the only country that actually gave Nelson Mandela a passport. Nelson Mandela was deemed a terrorist, just how Osama bin Laden is a terrorist. That's the equivalent to who they looked at him as. And Liberia was the one who decided, said, no, you have a home here, you come and we'll give you a passport. And then, of course, we were home to a lot of Black super freedom fighters from the US, a lot of singers, actors that came here and lived. But even today, one of the things that I think is Liberia's best asset is the food. I think we are the best cook. We have the best food in Africa. To hell with everybody. I don't care what you say. Liberia has the best food. We are the best cook. We are the best. We have the best food in Africa. Yeah. So, and then, I really, in our tourism sector, we have such a beautiful country to showcase. We have the beaches Liberia is pretty much an untouched territory, and we have very hospitable person. We are extremely nice to foreigners. Each other, not so much, but we are very, we are very, very nice to foreigners. So that's one of our assets. So I think we need to use that to really promote the tourism sectors, which will really create jobs here. And going back to the private sector, want to say congratulations to Mamu Johnson.
Oh yeah.
If we can support businesses like people like the Mamu who had a vision, who stuck with it. And I walked in that guy's store the other day, and I got goosebumps to see, because I met Mamu probably about 8 years ago when he first started, and to see where he is now, the sacrifices he's made. I don't think people understand there's a lot of sacrifice that these micro and small businesses they go through, but to stick it out, to stay here in Liberia and establish JPalm as one of will be the leading companies. He hires Liberians. Those are the type of people we really should be celebrating and trying to replicate more of. So I just hope we understand what was happening with the private sector in the 1970s, 60s, 50s, and we do that with our young private sector right now. And also to the Liberians who are out there outside of Liberians who continue to help Liberia. I think Rabina recently were part of a group who, anytime there's a problem in Liberia, they get together and they're trying to help. So there's a lot of Liberians in the diaspora. We need to stop saying, oh, they versus us. These are Liberians. They want to be a part of Liberia, whether to come back home or whether to just invest into business in Liberia or just to help. Want to give a shout out to Macy Dunbar. Macy Dunbar is a Liberian who has a beautiful makeup brand. She's not only well-known in the US, but she's also has expanded her business in Ghana, in Nigeria, and she really wants to do that here in Liberia. I know she has some of her products here. And then, of course, I think we all know Richelieu Dennis. Richelieu is my unofficial BFF. He doesn't really know it, but he He doesn't know it, but he's my BFF. But I'm just super, super, excited, when I hear these Liberians doing good. So there are many great things about Liberia. If you still confused, there's a short video, it's about 20 minutes, called The Wealth of Africa. Just watch it. It's very short. I know we don't like launching it. It's very short. Watch it. And just learn about some of the things that were really happening here in Liberia. Tolbert's vision, President Tolbert's vision for taking people from mat to mattresses. So, have a beautiful country. We love it. We're celebrating 174. We've had little bumps here and there, actually big bumps. Actually, the pothole in a way.
We've had earthquakes.
But nevertheless, we have a beautiful country. We have beautiful people. So all isn't lost in the 174 years. Let's continue to rebuild Liberia. I love it, Rabina. We've started a conversation. Let's keep it going. We hope to see y'all next weekend, next Sunday, where it will be more of a lighter issue topic, where we'll talk about something social. I think we're planning on talking about co-parenting. The children, anyway, we'll let you know. Yeah, but it will be an exciting conversation. We'll, of course, talk about hot topics. Be sure to like the page, Salamartu and Friends. Eventually, we're going to transition to that page, but be sure to like the page, to follow the page. So once again, thank you, ladies, for joining us. I know it's late. I'm talking a lot.
Thank you.
Good night. Go
You are
drink
talking a
something.
lot.
Go
Night,
drink something.
everyone.
And happy Independence
Happy
Day.
Independence Day. Happy
Likewise, be safe.
Be safe. And
Love you. Wear your mask. Lavetta, good to see you.
Good seeing you,
too.
Rabina.
And congratulations,
Likewise.
congratulations on your new job, Rabina.
I put it fancy on film, y'all.
If you come to Liberia and you want to stay in Africa,
Drink pepper soup. Drink pepper soup.
and if you like the culture and you want to stay in Liberia,
She won't go to Bill.
drink pepper soup.
At least he must be working very well.
Hey, Mattia, don't say oh.
Liberian food so sweet.
I almost said
Whatever they put in the soup,
that.
Can you take this
let me
off live, please?
Ma, where? When
It's
I
still
got
on live.
on, no, it's a delay. There's a delay.
But Matu, you just
I
cut
was
the people
praying
off
for
that.
Alice.
It's still recording.
It's a delay. It's not recording. It's recording
alright.
this one, yeah.
So she just cut the people off.